All right, ladies and gentlemen, guess who's back? So we're going to jump into the show normally where we would be around this time. A couple quick announcements, and I wanted to share this with you. I apologize about the technical difficulties, but man, it was looping back to me. It sounds like you guys didn't hear that on your end, but it just I couldn't get the show done that way. So do me a favor, comment in the chat where you're from, drop the name of your business and or your brand, and smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking 7 ways to heal your childhood trauma. And we've all got childhood trauma. We've all been through things as kids, and they may not, some of us have more trauma than others, but guess what? The size of the trauma does not matter when you consider the impact that trauma is having, especially in our adult lives. So that is critical for us to understand. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I've got a great show lined up for you. A couple quick announcements. I do want your help, ladies and gentlemen. I've been tapped on the shoulder to really help with a keynote speech for the Black Business Expo. And as my duty for speaking on this platform, I'm tasked to help them raise money for college students going to historically Black colleges. So I'm going to put a link in the comments here. If you would do me a favor, go ahead and smash that link and donate what you can. We're buying laptops and also offering scholarships to underserved children and helping them fulfill their college dreams. So, and then this event is happening the week of June 7th through the 13th. I'm speaking on day 3. So I'm super excited about that. But I want you guys to click on that link and go ahead and drop a donation in the Black Business Expo Scholarship Fund, if you will. Of course, we got the Monetize My Life Academy that is open. If you are not in that and you want to learn things like business credit, you want to learn branding and marketing, you want to learn social media marketing, you want to learn how to set up systems in your business. It's the premier digital marketing mastermind for solopreneurs and small businesses. Definitely something that you want to check out for real. And then, of course, if you want to sponsor the Cortez Hustle Show and get your business and your brand in front of my audience, then all you got to do is hit us up and we can help you out in that regard. I'm still going to hit you guys with the quote of the day, and then we'll get into those 7 ways to heal your childhood trauma. The quote of the day for today is doing is a quantum leap from imagining. Doing is a quantum leap from imagining, and that's from Barbara Sher. And I don't want you guys to get it confused or get it twisted. Vision and visualization is critically important. But if you constantly visualize and that's all you're doing is seeing, and you are not taking any action towards moving towards that goal, then that, my friend, is also a problem. So we know that the Bible says that our people perish for a lack of vision, right? So you got to have vision. You got to be able to see what it is that you want to accomplish. You got to see yourself accomplishing it. But if you never get up and do, ladies and gentlemen, then you will also perish for lack of action as well, because another scripture says faith without works is dead. So if you see it and you believe in that vision, then put the work in to make that vision come to pass, right? One of the fastest ways to self-confidence is by taking action. And I'm gonna hit you guys with one of my favorite quotes of all time as well. Those who say it cannot be done need not get in the way of those who are doing it, right? There's going to be people in your life that sit back and say what can't be done, what you cannot do. What they're doing is they're superimposing their limitations on you. Do not allow that to happen. Those who say it cannot be done need not get in the way of those who are doing it. That is the quote of the day right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, brought to you by Monetize My Life. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting great feedback and reviews on my book, Monetize My Life, 4 incredibly simple ways to turn your passions into profit with little to no startup cost. All you got to do is click on the link in the description or the show notes, monetizemylifeacademy.com/free book to get yourself a copy. And depending on when you're seeing this, you might still be able to get access to How to Become an Influencer, one of my most popular online courses at the same time, also for free. So be sure to check that out. Now let's talk about this childhood trauma situation. You guys know it's Wellness Wednesday right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, and I've decided to dedicate it every Wednesday for the month of May. And we're probably going to keep this going because I got a dope doctor coming on next week as well to talk about mental health. So we'll probably keep the mental health discussion going long beyond the month of May. But I wanted to make sure that we talked mental health in May because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we're talking 7 ways to heal childhood trauma. Let me drop the link to this article in the comments because y'all know we'll give a lot of the content from this article. But if you want to read and click through some of the other links and follow the article yourself, you're more than welcome to do that. But let's dive in right now. So it says children are often viewed as highly resilient and able to bounce back from just about any situation. But traumatic experiences in childhood can have severe and long-lasting effects well into adulthood if they are left unresolved. Childhood trauma can result from anything that makes a child feel helpless and disrupts their sense of safety and security, including sexual, physical, or verbal abuse, domestic violence, and unstable or unsafe environment, separation from a parent, neglect, bullying, serious illness, or intrusive medical procedures. And if we're honest, guys, we've all experienced some of that in our childhood. And we have to start asking ourselves, is some of that stuff showing up in our adult lives, right? You gotta ask yourself that. Is the way that you are currently behaving, could it be a result of some of the things that happened to you as a child? I never knew that some of the trauma I experienced as a kid was the root cause of some of my adult behavior, right? And it went unchecked for so long that I literally lost my mind. Literally, right? You know how when people go, if you've ever been to a Baptist, a good Southern Baptist church, and oftentimes there is an opportunity in the service for people to give their testimonies. What has the Lord done for you as a way to encourage others to keep the faith, right? And a lot of times you will hear those testimonies start with giving honor to God, who's the head of my life, and give reverence to the pastor and the members of the pulpit and all my father's children. And one of the first things people tend to thank God for is waking up, being clothed in their right mind. Now, that is something noble to be grateful for. But I often wonder how many of those people actually know what it's like to wake up outside of their right mind. Well, guess what? I do. And so that prayer and that testimony for me is like, man, another day, God, you woke me up this morning clothed in my right mind. Because when I was outside of my right mind, I literally had a mental breakdown because of childhood trauma some 20 years ago. And it was one of the most trying times in my life and my wife's life. That's why mental health is so important to me. And I want to do what I can to use my platform to bring awareness to mental health and help to remove the stigma that comes with mental health, seeing mental health professionals and all that kind of stuff, because our childhood trauma will in fact show its ugly face in our adult lives. And if you're not careful, it can derail your adult life, sending you through more trauma and causing even more hurt, pain. So it's best to learn how to deal with that stuff. So we're going to give you 7 ways to help you heal your childhood trauma. Now, I got to give you my disclaimer. I'm of course not a doctor, right? Maybe a business doctor. I can help you fix your business, help you heal your business, but I am not a doctor. I'm not a trained psychiatrist or a therapist in any regard. In fact, I'm reading from an article that I found to be very accurate as it relates to some of the things that I went through personally and how I sought healing and the things that worked for me. So please, please, please don't take this as medical advice. And if you're struggling with some of this stuff, make sure you go see a qualified, certified professional. Number one, acknowledge and recognize the trauma for what it is. Victims of childhood trauma often spend years minimizing the event or dismissing it by pretending it didn't happen or by succumbing to feelings of guilt or self-blame. The only way you can begin healing is to acknowledge that a traumatic event did occur and that you were not responsible for it. Some of you guys see what I put in the title of this show. It wasn't your fault. For years, I blamed myself, right? For years, I thought it was something wrong with me, that I triggered it, that I caused this. No, first and foremost, this is so rich, guys. So first and foremost, acknowledgement, right? And here's where even just acknowledging that it happens gets difficult for us, especially in our community as Black people. We've been through so much trauma, man. We've just, as a community of people, there's been so much trauma. But one of the things that came out of some of the trauma that we dealt with growing up in this country as a people caused us to want to sweep things under the rug, right? So if I'm a kid and I'm going through trauma and I'm trying to communicate that to the adults in my life, that, hey, this situation is causing me to feel a way, we got to be careful as adults not to be dismissive when our children are coming to us about things that's causing them to feel anxious. We've got to be careful as parents, as adults, uncles, aunties, because we cannot feel dismissive about the feelings of our children. Talk about childhood trauma. That's one of the most traumatizing things that a child could ever go through. You go to the people who's supposed to be keeping you safe, and you tell them that something is going wrong. Somebody is hurting you. The situation that you're living in is causing you anxiety, fear, causing you to feel unsafe, causing you to feel helpless. And that adult, that person who's been tasked or charged with keeping you safe, says something that makes you feel even worse, or dismisses it, or says something that makes you feel like you're making the whole thing up. Got to be very careful about that, y'all, because that adds to the trauma. I have countless people that I have talked to because my trauma that I experienced was sexual abuse, physical abuse. So I tend to have relationships with people who've gone through similar experiences. And one of the things that I hear quite often is, I told my parents, I told my uncles, I told my aunts, I told my grandma, I told the people who were in charge of my life, and they didn't believe me. Or I told the people in charge of my life, and they didn't do anything about it. That literally adds to the trauma. It literally adds to the trauma. So if you are an adult now and you've gone through some sort of trauma as a child, then I need you to acknowledge it for what it is, right? Yes, it happened. Yes, it caused you some hurt, some pain. Yes, it caused some problems. Yes, it's still causing you to think, behave, act in a certain way in your adult life. But you got to acknowledge that first and foremost, right? Recognize it for what it is. And also understand that it wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault, right? A lot of times we own those things, but there was somebody else who should have been in charge, who should have been protecting, should have been helping, should have been there for you. So don't own that as it being your fault or your responsibility. Now, I will tell you this. I will tell you this. It is your responsibility to deal with it now, though. What you cannot do is not deal with it and keep blaming that situation for where you are today. It's like the person who is dying of diabetes or heart disease, and the doctor is saying, listen, you need to lose 20, 30 pounds over the next 12 months, and you can start reversing this condition. And that person is saying, listen, if my mom wouldn't have got me addicted to McDonald's when I was a kid, if my mom wouldn't have, if my parents wouldn't have had all this soul food in the house and they taught me how to cook, and listen, that happened. It's very real. It could have caused your weight gain. But when the doctor is telling your grown $$ self that you need to lose some weight in order to live, in order to heal, I think Will Smith said it best. He said, it makes no difference who caused the problem when it's your responsibility to fix it. Now, if you're a kid and you're dealing with some trauma, you may not have all the power, the tools, and the strength necessary to fix that yourself. But if you're a grown person and you can admit that, hey, some childhood trauma has caused me to have issues as an adult, and you choose to do nothing to address the original source of the pain, the root cause, so that you can start the healing process, then that's on you. So number one, if you're going to heal your childhood trauma, the first thing you must do is acknowledge it for what it was. And don't carry the guilt, don't carry the shame of it happening to you. I know women who were sexually assaulted as children or abused and molested as children. And because the act itself felt good, it caused pleasure, right? In some sense for some of these women, they blame themselves. No, you were preyed upon. Some grown person who's probably had some mental challenges themselves, because you have to have that in order to do some of the things that has been done to these children. Don't carry that for the rest of your life as if you've done something to cause that to happen in your life. That is a huge issue with dealing with childhood trauma. First, we don't want to acknowledge it. And in my case, I had to, as a child, compartmentalize that experience, and I basically put it in a vault in my mind, and I locked it up and I left it there, right? And I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't want to deal with it at all. And what that caused me to do, in order to suppress that and to keep that experience locked away, I had to self-medicate. I was smoking a quarter ounce of weed every day. I was drinking every day almost, right? To suppress that as it started to try to bubble up and come out, right? So acknowledge for what it was. It was not your fault. And let's start unpacking it today. Talk to a professional about some of those things. And one of the things that you'll realize is that there's other traumas related to that trauma that you are not even acknowledging because you didn't acknowledge the original trauma, right? So number two, reclaim control. Feelings of helplessness can carry well over into adulthood and can make you feel and act like a perpetual victim, causing you to make choices based on your past pain, When you're a victim, the past is in control of your present. Listen, if you don't deal with it, then the decisions that you're making today will come from the feeling that you had while you were going through that experience. And it will cause you to make some decisions that may not be the best for you at this time. It will cause you to have some further challenges and complications, right? You got to deal with it, or you will always be the victim. You've got to reclaim your power. You got to reclaim your power. These things have happened, and you need to definitely talk to somebody about them so you can start the healing process in your life. Really quickly, I know we got a late start because of my technical issues, but y'all know I can't get an episode done and out of the way without going through 1 minute motivation. So let's hit 1 minute motivation really quickly. And I want to share with you guys this 1 minute motivational clip. I want you to give me your takeaways, and then give me your takeaways of anything that we're talking about today. This is a serious topic, and I'm just going through some stuff that I found on this article, that I realized some of the things that I went through to deal with my childhood trauma. So I believe in what is being said here, but I am not the doctor. Next week we'll have Dr. Courtney Davison on the show, and we'll get a chance to touch on some of this stuff as well. But right now, it's time for 1 minute motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show. Check it out.
What makes the difference in the quality of people's lives? Why is it some people in business or even in life seem to have every advantage? Everything's been given to them. The right timing, the right market, the right technology, the right insight. Or just an average person. Did you ever notice how sometimes the people that were given everything, they were given love, support, education, money, very oftentimes those are the people that spend their life going in and out of rehab. And then you see people that seem to have everything against them. You know, they didn't have the money, they didn't have the education, they didn't have the background, but something inside of them was so hungry that they were driven to find answers. They were driven to find a way to add value to other people's lives, and they found a way to thrive, to succeed, to achieve, to contribute on a significant scale. What is that difference that makes the difference?
I don't care how much money you make, you only get 24 hours in a day. And the difference between Oprah and the person that's broke is Oprah uses her 24 hours wisely.
Hoo-wee. That's 1 minute motivation, man. What did you guys hear? Man, you ever thought about what makes other people different? How is it that when we see people who seem to have it all seem like they can't handle it all, and the people who seem to have nothing seem to be able to make do with the best, make the best out of what they have, right? You can never judge a book by its cover. And then how are you using your 24 hours? How are you using your 24 hours? Listen, we all got the same 24. What are you doing with yours that's creating an amazing life for yourself, or creating a difficult life for yourself? I know one thing that should not be in your 24, and that's blame. Blame should be taking up no time in your 24-hour day. Because like we discussed earlier, it makes no difference who's responsible, or it makes no difference who caused the problem when it's your responsibility to fix it. Right? So blame should not be in your 24. I try to take full responsibility for everything that goes on in my life. I believe what the Bible says, I'm a God under the Most High God, meaning I create my own world. And if my world is upside down, that is my fault. That is my responsibility. If my relationships are not right, it's my responsibility to fix them or get out of them. If my finances are not right, it's my responsibility to either fix them or stop complaining about them, because complaining won't help. Right? It's my responsibility to take care of my health so that my body is still functioning the way I want it to function 40 years from now. Right? It's my responsibility. I could very easily blame situations, right? I could blame the childhood trauma that I experienced. But it doesn't make no never mind who caused the problem when it's my responsibility to fix it. So keep that in mind. We're talking childhood trauma, man. 7 ways to overcome your childhood trauma. And again, I'm not the doctor here. Next week, make sure you tune in on Wellness Wednesdays, where I have Dr. Courtney Davidson on the show, and we're going to be talking all about all of this stuff from a professional perspective. But I thought I'd share my thoughts on this topic as well. So number 1 is acknowledgement. Man, recognize that experience was traumatic and it's affecting you in ways that you are not even aware of as an adult. Because I swear I had no idea that my childhood trauma was causing me to make some of the decisions that I was making. Right? Number 2, reclaim control. Right? This is where you got to really go into that past and really start unpacking. Like one of the things that I had to and this unpacking process. So without giving you every single detail, because we don't have time for that today. One of the things that I experienced is I was molested by an uncle as a child, right? And when I had to go into and start reclaiming my power and my control over this, I realized that I was mad at everybody, right? Including my mom. But when I started dealing with this situation, what came to light is that my mom, we were living in New York. My mom was in an abusive relationship, and her exit strategy, I'm the 4th born of 6 children, right? Her exit strategy was to start sending the kids away, and ultimately she would develop the strength to leave this situation herself. So she sent myself and my sister to my grandma. Now, St. Louis was just supposed to be a pit stop for me. My dad was supposed to come pick me up from St. Louis and take me on to Tupelo to live with him. Well, he had some troubles and he couldn't get there. I had an opportunity to ride to Mississippi with someone else, and they asked me, a 4-year-old, 5-year-old kid, what I wanted to do. Right? Now, I said I wanted to stay. It was a new place. I wanted to stay, but that wasn't the plan. So, and me staying, ended up in a situation where I was abused. So I didn't realize that in unpacking my situation, I thought the abuse was the most traumatic thing that happened to me. Guys, it wasn't the abuse. It was the neglect. Because in my mind, my mom got rid of me. My mom didn't want me. And that's not the situation. And sometimes when traumatic things happen, we don't ever talk about them. So we never get to know the full story. Right now, my dad got killed when I was 11, so I didn't get to get his side of the story. Pop, why you didn't show up for your son? Why you didn't give me? And we could have avoided that whole situation, right? But sometimes we put that stuff in a box, we lock it away, and nobody ever wants to talk about it, guys. But listen, it's the talking about it and hearing the whole picture, the whole side of everybody's deal helped me to heal. Helped me to heal. To understand what my mama's intentions were, even though they didn't play out like that, to be grateful that I had a grandmother that says, hey, yeah, he can stay here with me. I understand that this man is putting his hands on you. You got to get these kids out of that environment. So boom, he can stay with me. but it's the unpacking and the willingness to address these situations that will help you heal and operate and function in your adult life. Number 3, seek support and don't isolate yourself. Now, I'll be honest, as a kid, I think it was the isolation that helped me, right? Because it says here, a natural instinct that many trauma survivors have is to withdraw from others, but this will only make things worse. A big part of the healing process is connecting to other people, so make the effort to maintain your relationships and seek support. Talk to a trusted family member, friend, or counselor, and consider joining a support group for survivors of childhood trauma, right? So as a kid, this is one of the things, and I could say this helped me to develop, or it's probably just something this God gave me, but I recognize the development of it as a kid more because of this situation, right? I literally had to rely on my imagination. I literally would crawl into the recesses of my own mind, and I believe that's where my imagination, my creativity came from. It's because of the trauma that I was suppressing. And one of the ways that I would suppress that is by visualizing, is by living in the future, is by using my creative imagination, right? But as an adult, as you really start to dive into this, then you want to seek the support of other people. I tell everybody, if my wife hadn't have loved me through that situation when I lost my mind, I don't know where I'd be. Right? I remember when my wife and I first started dating, right? It was after another traumatic event happened in my life. My baby brother got killed. And it was after that she came to the funeral. Now we've known each other because we met in high school. She's best friends with my cousin. But when we started dating, I was serious about settling down around that time. So that's 96. That puts me right at about 22 years old, right? So I'm serious about settling down. I'm tired of whoring around and ripping around the streets and all that kind of stuff. I'm serious about settling down. I was looking at 3 different young ladies from my past, and then she came into my life. So now I'm like, man, I want to figure out which one of these ladies is going to be the best for me. And I often wonder, still to this day, had it worked out with anybody else other than my wife, would they have been able to love me through that situation where I literally lost my mind? Right? So support is important, man. Picking a mate, man, it gets deep, man, because she was for real when she said for better or for worse. Because let's be clear about something, right? Even without the trauma, even when I was so-called healthy before I had the mental breakdown, your boy was always a little strange, right? So she had to say, okay, I'm going to marry this guy for better or for worse. For worse, meaning he's already a little strange. He's different. And, he moves different. And he thinks different. He talks different. He acts different. And that's the core of who I am. I am a very different dude, right? But I thought it was because of that situation. No, that's just how I'm made. So she was like, okay, for better or for worse. And for worse actually came to pass in her life while we were together. Like, he's already a little different type of dude. And that's what attracted her to me. But for better or for worse means, yeah, if he goes all the way off his rocker, I'm right here with him. And she was. And she loved me through it. And now we're 24 years in, 5 kids and doing our thing. So support is critically important. Number 4, take care of your health. Take care of your health. Your ability to cope with stress will increase if you are healthy. Establish a daily routine that allows you to get plenty of rest, eat a well-balanced diet, and exercise regularly. Most importantly, stay away from alcohol and drugs. These might provide temporary relief, but will inevitably increase your feelings of depression, anxiety, and isolation, and can worsen your trauma symptoms. Listen, I heard Russell Brunson say the other day, if you had a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, a Bentley, one of these $250,000 vehicles, $500,000 vehicles, what kind of fuel would you put in it? You wouldn't put regular gas in a Lamborghini, right? Well, guess what? Your body is also a Lamborghini. Your body is also a Rolls Royce. Your body is also a Porsche or whatever, these high-end vehicles that take high octane fuel, that takes special care. Why aren't we treating our bodies like that? And if you dealt with childhood trauma, then treating your health, making your health a priority is something that will help. If you're getting good rest at night, you start a good stress management program or protocol. Because these traumatic situations happen, they never go away. It's a part of me my whole life, for the rest of my life. So I want to make sure that when certain things trigger certain feelings and emotions that come based on that history, I need to be in a good space to know how to manage the stress of some of the emotions that are triggered. Right? So you got to take care of your health. You got to take care of your health. It's important, especially emotional and stress management. You got to understand that there are certain foods that you can eat that will increase your level of stress and anxiety. You got to understand that there's certain environments that will increase your stress. It's deep, y'all. It's deep. You got to take care of yourself. Number 5, learn the true meaning of acceptance and letting go. Just because you accept something doesn't mean you're embracing your trauma or that you like it or agree with it. Acceptance means you've decided that what you're going to do, you've decided what you're going to do with it. You can decide to let it rule your life, or you can decide to let it go. See, people don't want to acknowledge it. They don't want to accept, because they're thinking that if I accept what has happened to me, then that's me in some way saying I liked it or I wanted it to happen. No, it has happened. It is a part of who I am. I have to accept it in order to realize how it has the potential to affect me so that I can be on guard against the negative impacts of that. All right. Number 6, replace bad habits with good ones. Bad habits can take many forms, like negativity and always mistrusting others, or turning to alcohol and drugs when feelings become too hard to bear. Man, I was smoking a quart of weed a day because I was in suppression mode, right? I was drinking when I couldn't get weed, and I was drinking, right? And by the grace of God, this month makes 20 years sober. This month makes 20 years sober. It drives my wife crazy sometimes because she like wants to give me pain medication and that kind of stuff. I'm like, nah, man, I ain't taking nothing. I ain't taking nothing, right? But replace bad habits with good habits. Started to exercise, started to treat my body right, right? Started to read personal growth and self-development. I started to really work on me. I started to not only accept that happened to me, but I accepted that I am who I am in spite of and despite, right? Sometimes it's like, that's a part of my past, and that has created this wonderful situation that I have with my wife. So if I don't accept that, then I can't accept where I am today, right? Number 7, be patient with yourself. When you've been seriously hurt as a child, you develop out of control emotions, hopelessness, defense mechanisms, and warped perceptions that are difficult to let go of. It will take a lot of time and hard work to let go of these feelings. Be patient with yourself and honor your progress. No matter how small it may seem, it's the little victories in your recovery that will eventually help you win the battle of healing your childhood trauma. Listen, man, this stuff don't happen overnight. It don't happen immediately. While your body can take and heal itself in a matter of 7 to 10 days, if you cut yourself emotionally, it's not always that fast to heal. It's not always that quick and that easy to heal. Day by day, just allow a little healing. Do something that's going to make you better every day, right? And then encourage your loved ones to be patient with you as well, right? I remember watching the movie Diary of a Mad Black Woman. I think it was that one where there was some abuse, and she was about to push a good man away from her because of the emotional trauma that the previous man had caused. And it's a good thing that brothers learn how to be patient, right? But you got to be willing to deal with the trauma. You got to be willing to run towards the healing and not away from the healing. So for the first 10 years, 11 years, 12 years, whatever the time span was after I was abused and the traumatic situations happened, I was running away from the healing and didn't realize in running away from the healing, I was running to more traumatic events in my life. Running with the wrong people, doing the wrong things, establishing and trying to maintain the wrong relationships, running from the healing of one traumatic situation was causing me to run to other traumatic situations. So more and more trauma was happening in my life as I was trying to escape the pain of some trauma or avoid dealing with pain of trauma altogether. So that is the seven ways, not the only seven, but I think this article was helpful for me to remember. And like I said, I will have Dr. Courtney Davidson on next week. And she is certified, licensed doctor in this area. So we'll get a chance to talk to a professional about these things. And again, I want to apologize for the technical issues that we had early today. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it threw us off a little bit. So we are out of time, ladies and gentlemen. So I appreciate you guys all tuning in. It's not always good to start your day with something heavy like this. So again, take it with a grain of salt. So I'll talk to you guys next time. I want you to get your money up because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve to do it, each and every single one of you. Now hustle up. But you've got to overcome fear if you're going to win.